Okay, so interest homework sheet, here we go from yesterday. Let's talk front. So front, first answer, you should have been like a little bit over $1 million. Front second answer should be 800,000-ish dollars. Unrounded, long, lengthy amounts. You should go dollars and cents on those. The third answer is a nice even number. Anybody get a nice even number there? 20,000 even. The fourth answer should be a nice even answer. Anybody fourth answer get a nice even answer? It is 6% on the nose. The time is like semi-even number. It ends with a 5. Anybody have a fiver? It is 35. When we go to the bottom part, it should be like in the 60,000s, the 400,000s, the 300,000s, the 100,000s. Again, reinforcing the most important thing is the time. Second place is the rate, and then the amount of money, which, I mean, it does matter to a degree, but in terms of percentage of growth, that it's the least important thing to have that starter amount. Anybody on the front with something, anything front going?
Are all the homeworks due today?
No.
Oh, thank you. This kid's getting stuff in my head. And I'm like,
I thought they were.
Never listen to him.
I should have learned that.
I'm giving help on any of the assignments today because we don't have a new lesson, but no, it'll be a couple days before that's all due. Last call front. To the back, you should have been easily a millionaire by the final bottom corner. Anybody confident answer for final bottom corner?
1,330,000.
A little higher. It is 1,000,003, but it's a little more than that.
1,398,905.
Yeah, and 20 cents if you hit it right on the head. Should be $1,398,905.20. If you didn't get that, I could give you answers at some of the checkpoints to just see how it was going. But anybody trouble with money? I would have filled in like every 10th year like we did when we practiced it, but no, you don't have to fill in every box. But did it have questions at the bottom again? No, it just had that square.
You hear that? You didn't have to fill out the whole thing.
But you don't have to fill in every square.
She filled it all out. I seen her.
I mean, that didn't hurt anything, but every 10th year would have been fine.
It's just a waste of time.
My calculator was
Also
Like
true.
10, 20.
10, 20, 30, 40. Nothing there? If those are good, send those down. Just send those down first. People that are on the ends, if you could keep these piles separate, that would be appreciated. Article. What's that?
It's like a one-day thing, because I didn't do it right.
No, I mean, fix it, get it to me in the next couple days.
I don't know how to do the fourth one down on the front page.
Fourth one down on the front. So it would set up as the 71,000 equals the 30,000. 1 plus R in parentheses, and then a 15th power. So what did you think to do first for the solve? Divide is correct. Then to get rid of the 15, you're probably, is your mistake, you'd want to do the 15th root.
That's where I'm wrong.
Okay. Do you have a button on your calculator you know how to use for 15th root? Okay. All right, let's talk article then. So just observations and advice for young people that hopefully you're getting at home. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't, I don't know, but just in case you aren't, here's some helpful financial advice from an old person. So just like we saw compound interest yesterday on the worksheet and in the lesson were a really huge help to your financial life, compounding interest can also cause you financial death. A thought on how interest can also cause you financial death when it is compounded? Loans can hurt you, yes. What would be some examples of debt?
Car debt?
Car debt is not that bad, maybe.
College debt.
College debt,
Oh, never mind.
maybe not that bad, debatable.
Like, mortgage, life.
Credit card is death. Talking about that in a minute.
I should have known that one.
A fourth thing that most people really can't afford to but just buy
Mortgage.
your house. Okay, so debt also has interest. Different kinds of debt have different kinds of interest. So generally, house car loans aren't that bad interest rate wise, but you need to be reasonable what you do. If you have $5,000 and you buy yourself a $5,000 car cash, that's not smart because you are left with nothing. If you have $5,000 and you buy yourself a $5,000 car by paying 2 or 3 and taking out a loan for 2 or 3, that's probably not a bad idea. If you have $5,000 and you buy yourself a $48,000 car, that is not a good idea. Okay, that's way more debt than you need to take on. You're not going to maybe be able to pay that back. But car loans, house loans, those things are not bad. If you have $10,000 in savings, you would not want to buy a house and put down all 10,000 of those dollars and take out a loan for all the rest. You'd want to save some money and put some money down. If you're ever taking out a loan by putting down nothing, that's really not a good idea. It's not something you should really try to do. You have to be reasonable about what you're doing. I don't remember, I haven't taken out a house, I bought a house in my life once, it was 24 years ago. I don't remember what my interest rate was because I paid the house off a while back. I think it was like 4%. 4% interest, is that bad relative to our discussion yesterday? Is 4% a high interest rate? No. What was the stock market averaging?
So that next state.
8, you know, so a 4% house loan is not bad. I haven't done a car loan for a while either. I paid off both of the cars that we own. Once we own a car, we drive it into the ground. That's just sort of our style. But I think the last time I did a car loan, I paid for half the car, or did a loan for half the car. I think it was like 7%, but I don't remember. But I didn't think that was bad. Student loans are usually not bad, but here's something that you need to contemplate there as well. Is really in the big picture is what you're buying worth the money. So like, if you're trying to go to CMU and pay $50,000 a year and do it all with loans, that's probably not a good idea. Especially if you're going to major in English. Like, I don't know how you're going to pay that back. But student loans, not a terrible idea if you're majoring in something that can get you a job. But credit card debt is ridiculous. I just got an ad. I'm not sure what credit card debt percentage right now is either because I don't do credit card debt. But I got an ad in the mail. Open this new credit card. The percentage interest is only 22%. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me that it's only 22%. That is bonkers. I do have credit cards. The way you use credit cards is as a replacement for
Like, if you don't have cash on you.
cash that's on you. But you should have that cash somewhere in your world. So if I were going to go to the store and buy a new refrigerator for $800, I would not take $800 cash to do that.
You would.
I would use my credit card and then write a check or whatever later to pay that $800 that I have in my account. You use that as a cash replacement for convenience and so you don't get robbed, sort of sake. But you don't do that for a loan. If I had $0 in my account, I would not go on my credit card, buy an $800 refrigerator and pay 22% interest on that refrigerator until I paid that back. That is crazy. That's how you go bankrupt. Anybody see a famous celebrity today went bankrupt? Antonio Brown went bankrupt. How much money did that dude make in his life? Like maybe $50 to $100 million? But he bought more stuff than he made money and probably bought it on credit and paid interest and just wasted his money on that. Just like yesterday we saw all that free money for us when we saved, the credit card company is getting free money from you when you don't pay your bill on time. Credit card companies are also great for a thing called a minimum payment. They'll send you a bill. I just got my credit card bill the other day. It was like $1,000 credit card bill, and it said the minimum payment was like $50. That's all they really required from me was the $50. They actually hope I only pay the $50 because if I leave $9.50 on my bill, what are they going to charge me? An I word. Interest. So the next month, I'm probably over $1,000. I'm probably $1,020, and they'll say, "Oh, minimum payment 51." And I just, if I only pay them the 51, then they're gonna again charge me
More.
interest, and now it's like $1,050 and whatever. Even if I don't charge anything, my bill is only gonna go up. Your test is right there if you need it.
Do you have our ones today?
Yeah, they're on the desk. They're on the teacher desk.
Alright.
Yeah, there's a label on the, there's a stack of tests and it says algebra tests for today. They're on the desk.
Okay.
Good luck, Brady.
So credit card debt is incredible. If you ever use credit cards as a way to take out a loan, that's a crazy way to do it. That is just not how you want to do it. Paying a minimum payment, not the way you want to do it. So that wasn't in this article. That's just friendly advice from an old person. One thing that is in this article that I think is helpful is it can be very hard to break old spending habits. I would bet Antonio Brown, as a young child, was probably a guy that if his grandma gave him a quarter, he ran to the store and bought something for a quarter. And when he got a little older, his grandma gave him $1, he probably ran to the store and bought something for $1. And when the Steelers gave him $10 million paychecks, he probably ran out and bought $10 million worth of stuff, because that was like the habit he probably built from the time he was like 4. Maybe I'm wrong. Apologies to Antonio Brown if I'm wrong. But there's a lot of people that are like that at your age that you probably know. You probably have friends, or maybe you yourself. You know if you are given money, it isn't going to even make it home. And if that becomes your habit, you're going to be a person who's older with no money, because you're going to keep finding more expensive things to buy for yourself as your pay increases. You want to try to build a habit while you're young of saving some. Save some, spend some. But spend on stuff that matters, that you need and really want and would enjoy. That's the whole reason you have money, is to get things you need or want or enjoy. But if you're just burning through money and you're not getting anything you need, want, or enjoy, you're just building bad habits. Discipline talked about in here. Talked about it can be hard to save once you do accumulate debt, although I am saying some debt is necessary. You're not going to buy a house without probably going into some sort of debt. Talked about time, but we were on that page already, that as a young person, time is on your side. But that's just some takeaways from this. Question there. Well, here's some internet information to just emphasize my point. This is a graph of a thing called the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It measures like what stocks on average have done over time, and it goes back to like about 1985. You'll notice the general trend is up. So if you are in a lifestyle where you invest a little bit every check, sometimes right after you put in money, it's gonna go down. But sometimes right after you put in money, it's going to go up. Sometimes it goes up a lot. Sometimes it goes down a lot. What do you think this was?
COVID.
That's COVID. When the world shut down, the stock market, everybody panicked, and there was a huge crash in the stock market there. But if the stock market crashed during COVID, and then you sold all the stock you owned, what did you miss?
All of that.
All of that big recovery. If you could go to the next one, go to the second one. The second one is just across the top, second from the left. Go back a little bit more to the left.
Which one?
Just the second one. We're on. This is the first one. Go to.
She clicked the second one.
Because I clicked the second one. They're both dojos, though.
Yeah, just click that one.
Yeah.
You good? Did it switch? I didn't see it switch. Here's COVID. Things were generally going up, as you saw in that other graph. COVID hit, and everything went down. And what a lot of people did is panicked and sold all their stuff. I didn't. I wish I would have. I had this brief thought right here of I should put some more money into this. but it was like scary because it kept going down, and you're like, I don't know when this is going to stop going down. And by the time I figured out it was on its way back, it was like too late. I just sort of waited life out. But things went down, and things more than came back. By 2021, things were like better than they were before COVID. But there's always these times that it goes up, it goes down. There's good days, there's bad days. But the general trend there was up. Go back to that first one. When you take the zoomed out like 30-year view, it's very much up with some downs. Go Bitcoin. It's the third one. Okay, Bitcoin's bonkers. Okay, there's a lot of people that made a lot of money off of Bitcoin. There's a lot of people that lost a lot of money on Bitcoin, because this is a lifetime of Bitcoin thing, but it's only been a few years. There's people here that bought at like 20,000 because they got excited. Bitcoin back here got in the news a lot. People were like, Bitcoin is great, everybody should buy Bitcoin. And it went up to like $20,000, and all these people jumped in and bought it at 20. And then pretty soon after that, it's down here at like, I don't know, 5 or whatever it is. And people are like, Bitcoin is dead. And then it ends up Bitcoin is like 60 and it's in the news and everybody should buy Bitcoin, and it had like this go through the roof thing. And a lot of people jumped in again. And then after it hit 60 and people thought it was going to go up forever, pretty soon it's like 30. And then some people at 30 are like, all right, I'm out. But if you got out at 30, you really shouldn't have, because sooner or later it was back to 60. Like, for the most part, you're better to just buy something that you have belief in and just stay. But don't buy something because of hype, because as soon as you buy because of the hype has already probably driven it up, and it's probably about to go down, crash, boom. So it's down, crash, boom, and a lot of people probably got all excited. You know, it went down, 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 they gave up, sold, and all of a sudden we're back at like 60 again. If I were going to guess where Bitcoin is going to go based on this graph, I'd probably say it's about to do this again, but I don't know. I'm not a financial advisor. But maybe it'll keep going like this. I don't know. It's impossible to predict. Go over one more. GameStop, I'm not sure what's going on at GameStop. I read a little bit about this. A couple times there's been like blatant fraud going on somehow with GameStop, where people have manipulated these prices. So this happened a few years ago where it was like almost worthless, and people somehow drove the price up to like from like $1 or $2 a share to like $80 a share. And a bunch of people jumped in on this because again it was in the news and it got all hyped and it hit like $80. And there were some people who bought it at like 1 or 2 and somehow managed to manipulate this up to 80. But then a bunch of people bought it at 80, and all of a sudden, a couple days later, it's at like 10. So some people lost their shirts on this. And then they did it again, and it's like, for some reason, people that like to game the stock market, GameStop is like one of their favorite things to do. But it's back in this last week. This last week, it's been on this like crazy up. But by the time you usually figure out something's on a crazy up, you don't probably want to get in it because it's too late and it's probably going to be a down. But I don't understand what's going on with GameStop. I'm not an investment expert by any means, but just an interesting story to tell you. Basically, invest in stuff you believe in and go for it. Question about money in general. What's that? Yeah, I mean, day by day, it's up a little bit. You could Google anything you want. I mean, you could Google price of Google stock and click on, do you want to see a 1 year, a 5 year, a maximum of whatever. Some stuff goes up, some stuff goes down. Amazon was crazy up during COVID because everyone was at home buying off of Amazon. And then after COVID, it went back down again, but then I think it's rebounded back up. But I mean, you could Google that yourself if you care to look at what Amazon's doing. But I'm positive that while everything else went down during COVID, Amazon went up. That I do remember that very specifically. Once upon a time, Amazon, I think, just sold books. It was like this rinky-dink little book delivery system. That's what they did, and it like went off eventually. Any money questions before we wrap that up? Okay, let's look homework pages. So 522, once upon a time, we had a 522 due in the book. There's a lot of you, and I have 5 papers to give you back. So that means almost everyone owes me a 522. If you're not right now receiving back the 522, get on your horse and give me some 522. Is there anybody that has questions that have been lingering on 522 that have been hanging you up? Yes, sir.
So, on the questions with like express the equations like X, Y, and Z, like how do you do those?
So we had 3 properties for logarithms back on that day. We had one for multiply, one for divide, and one for... Anybody jump in? Powers. So the idea was, if you had one logarithm with multiply, you could turn it into
Undivided.
2. One with x, one with y, but instead of multiplying, they were now added. One with dividing, you could turn into 2. One with y, but now they're subtracting. And if we have powers, this has been our most used trick.
Bump it to the beginning.
Bump it to the beginning. The power can bump to the beginning of that. And so that page, we largely just work these 3 properties inside and out.
Yeah.
So if they give you 1, and then you might want 2, sometimes they give you 2, and they might want 1.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do variations on this, like if I go 7, how would that change this, anybody? If I toss a 7 there?
There's 7 over
I'd make the
X.
7 over the X.
X is to the 7. If I bounce an 8 there,
8.
It's
y is to the 8. There's, like, sometimes they're doing multiple tricks in the same question. Maybe this is on top of a z. So then, minus log z. But if this z were to the 4th, 4 to the 4 there. Square roots. What kind of powers are roots? Fraction powers. Square rooting is specifically what fraction? Half. So this whole answer would have still existed, but we would need half of it. Good on that? Anybody else 522 have any kind of questions about ideas hanging you up on 522?
21.
21. So I would tackle the parentheses probably first. So take those 2 that are subtracting.
So it'd be like log X over Y.
Correct. Then deal with the 3. What would the 3 do?
Divide that by, like,
No. The 3's in front of that stuff.
or it'd make both of those be to the 3rd.
Both of those to the 3rd. Then it was adding another log, so adding would get replaced by multiply. Multiply that 2x into the top.
Okay.
More? Any more 522s?
I go to that.
Sure.
I'm trying these in. The things.
Sure. Yeah, if you have articles that you read, you could send those down.
Let me try and find it. I can probably get it.
Anybody 522? Any kind of questions more on that?
23.
23. Okay, there's 2 of them that are subtracting.
That's dividing.
So you make it dividing. So that second root ax,
Yeah.
jumble that down to the bottom where you already have a root x. So we'd have log. This would sit. This would sit.
Yeah.
Dividing makes this join up with the log.
Okay.
If that's all you did, that's not bad. You understand logarithms. But if we want to try to make this better, anybody an opinion? What's going to happen when root x multiplies root x?
X.
It's just going to become an x.
So x root a on the bottom.
So we have an a there. We have a root a on the bottom. Why would this be undesirable based on earlier in the year lessons?
Can't have roots on the
You're
bottom.
not supposed to have roots on the bottom. If you didn't do all these gymnastics on this, I mean, life would go on, but how can we fix that root on the bottom?
Multiply everything by x.
Multiply by root a, so you multiply the top by root a.
So it's xa
Root a times root a
is
is an a, but on top we had an a, so that all cancels. So I think our best answer would be log root a x. But I guarantee you nothing like that makes the test. That's easily the hardest question on that page. Without competition. Any more 522, any more 523, 12.4 homework advice that you need? Okay, then let's go up another homework. The next day after that, there was a log equations worksheet. There was one or two papers that I got from people that turned in answers that said like log 47. I don't want you to leave it as log 47. What did we want to do with stuff like log 47? Plug it into your calculator. So if you had a lot of answers like log 47, just push some buttons and tell me what log 47 was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7 of these.
I have
So
it.
it's about 50-50. Keep it for a second. Let me give some answers just so we can verify that we do indeed know what we're doing. It'll say at the top, log equations, has a front, has a back. Set that down the line.
Here you go, Mr. Luke.
So log equations, let me just cruise through some answers and then you can tell me if you need something. So 1, I'll say 3.46 and I'll just cruise down through. There's a 4, a 3, a 5.58, a 7/4 or a 1.75, a 3.01, a 4.82, second column up to the top of 8 is a 10, then a 167 over 33 if you reduce, 501 over 99 if you didn't reduce, maybe it's like 5 point something if you made a decimal, 10 is 3, a 3.88, a 9, a negative 1.42, an 8/3, and if you're baffled, let's do some stuff. Anybody on the front, anything that's like, uh-oh.
Would you say 13?
I'd rather not repeat.
Can I have, how do you do number 7?
Number 7, I did log on both sides. So on the left, the x slid to the front, and I had a 3. On the other side, an x minus 1 would slide to the front and go log 4. With that? There you go. I'm after the x's, so I have to distribute. X log 4, log 4, x log 3. You with that?
How did we get there?
I just distributed. X times log 4, 1 times log 4.
Okay.
You with that?
Yeah.
I want to get all the x's to the same side, so I'm going to subtract this x log 4 over. With that. Then we'd have to take off a GCF,
Big one. Oh, that.
and then one big punch-in thing where this would have to divide by the parentheses. Push a lot of buttons. More from front, anybody front? To the back, cruising down, starting at 15, I got a 3.43, a 9.45, a 20, and impossible because you get a negative answer and you're not allowed to have negative answers put into logarithm problems. If you check it, it just blows everything up. 19 is 3.69, a 0.77, a 1.93, a 0.83, a 47.15, 3.61, a 0.55, a 2.95, a 1.20, and a 0.058. I'd rather not repeat, but I'd be happy to tell you how to do anything. Yep. Anybody on the back question about how this happens? On anything there? Yeah.
28.
28.
Because I saw
So you would, the x is already pretty much by itself. E to the 12th is just a number we can get from our machine. So just
never mind.
take,
I tried to hit equal,
okay, that'll do it.
and I got E12.
Yeah. Anybody else that worksheet? Anything? Okay, then the next one we did was carbon dating. I got 2 of those. So if you have some carbon datings handy, here's some answers to some carbon datings. Just to verify that you do indeed know what you're doing.
Where you I know that, Ev.
Yes, not right this second, but yes. Carbon dating, starting at the top, I'm going to say 12.5, 11.54, 3.125, 46.17, 73.79, 54, 18, 83.19, 5, 8.13, 6.54, and 6. Can I help you on the front? Keeping in mind there's a sheet due tomorrow that incorporates all of these homework assignments, and there's a test coming later this week that incorporates all of these homework assignments, so I'm hoping to troubleshoot some problems. Any problems on the front? To the back, I'm saying 184, 400, a 1507.12, 124,135.32, a 12,946, a 2611, a 6263, and I rounded these to the nearest year for this last section. 20 is 7196, 21 is 6442, 22 is 29,089, 23 is 7811, the last one is 16,310.
Well, just for you gave us a different half-life for carbon in the video and on the page.
Okay, so it'll be off by a couple years then. It doesn't matter.
Sorry.
I think what happened here is, I think there's different books that do different half-lives for carbon. So I think the calc book does 5750. I think the trig book maybe does 5750. This book does 5700. So yeah, if you're off by a couple years, don't worry about it. 15. So I'd set it up as 26 equals an x, an e, a power of negative k that I didn't write down, but I would have stored by doing ln of 2 on top of 7, and then a time of 41. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So then the e to that power is just a number. Where the x is, we'll just need to divide 26 by a power of e to all that stuff.
I feel like I did that, but I got negative answers.
Maybe you forgot that there was a negative. The equation includes a negative. Like the power on the e is always a negative, so you'd always divide by a negative. And the answers will always be positive. If it doesn't show up, I'll come back and repunch with you. More stuff, carbon date. 18. So 18, we're going to go to that most important equation here is that the percentage of stuff that is left equals e to a negative kt. And this k, at some point, we stored that for carbon. You know if you stored that for yourself? So for 18, if it lost 27% of its carbon, that means there's 73% left. Are you okay with how I pulled that 73? Take 100 minus the 27. So if it lost 27%, percents are always out of 100. So 100 minus 27 would tell you there's 73% still there. Equals e to the negative kt. Does that make sense? If we go to do 19 you would just use the 0.47 because 19 says it has 47% of it. And we want to do the percentage that it has. But on 18, since I told you the percentage it lost, we had to tweak that. You okay there? Then to kill e's, anybody in the room, what gets rid of e's? ln.
IN.
So we would do ln of that 0.73. And then this negative k would be divided from our storage, wherever you have it stored. And then if you have any trouble pushing buttons, I'll come check back with you.